There are two ways in which any government can proceed. One is a way based on what you and I would call a free society, which is enshrined right at the heart of the American Constitution. The other one is a way which allows only one view, both of economics and politics.
Thank you for joining us. You are listening to A Radio, and this is The Morning Moment. We're on weekdays, 11:45 Eastern. Follow us on Spreaker.com and click on the like button. The piece I'm going to do today brings me no comfort at all to do. It's a very controversial one, and certainly will be in my country of Canada. That doesn't even take into account another country that I have links to. To say I'm angry would be an understatement of how I feel. That really doesn't describe my feeling right now. No, before you say anything, it's not hate. I don't have hate for anybody or anything. What it is that where I come from, I'm angry that people are no longer allowed, and it's true to a strong extent in Canada as well. They're not allowed to have any views that are contrary to the state. In other words, they're trying to re-educate people if you have a view that isn't theirs. I want you to think about that concept, just that concept alone for a moment. Now, those of you who know me out there, who listen to my comments from time to time, know that I'm nothing but direct and blunt and to the point. Well, here it is. Here's the nub of the thing. Over the weekend, there was, as most people know, a terrible act carried out by some nutball in New Zealand. Now, no one in their right mind agrees to what he did. No one. Why does that have to be spelled out in the media? Because it's another way of attacking President Donald Trump. Every country in the Western world, the media, is attacking Donald Trump. Now, I'm sure you heard about this. Yes, I'm sure you did. Well, if you're like me, you were horrified and disgusted. And that's where it should end. We should all condemn it. But it never does end there, does it? And we all know that. It's a vehicle used by left-wing media to attack anybody who disagrees with their narrative. I hate that expression, but it's true in this case. This first piece is from Neon Nettle. The title will say it all, and the links, as always, will be on my site. UK police arrest 4 people who commented on New Zealand attack on social media. Let me just say that again. UK police arrest 4 people for making a comment on the New Zealand attack on social media. Does anybody think there's something wrong with that comment? With those words? Is anyone disturbed by that? Because I certainly am. I'm going to read you this piece. And I don't know about you, if you're as old as I am, the hills and somewhat. I was always taught when I was growing up that sticks and stones would break my bones, but names would never hurt me. It seems that names really do hurt people, and words really do hurt people. It's pathetic, sad, and very disturbing to me. Here's that piece from Neon Nettle. Police in Greater Manchester have arrested 4 people commenting online and in person about the recent New Zealand shooting. The first arrest was that of a 24-year-old man from Oldham for malicious communications on social media. I wonder what that means. Police allege the man was making reference and support for the terrible events and took him into custody on March 16. Another person, a 38-year-old woman from Rochdale, was arrested for racially aggravated public order offences, which involved comments made online about the New Zealand attack. Later, a 34-year-old woman and a 33-year-old man were also arrested on suspicion of racially aggravated public order offences. What the heck is that? A report of a taxi driver being abused and threatened by members of the public, who were referencing the terrorist attack in New Zealand. They further refer to it on their site. In a separate case, an 18-year-old man from New Zealand is facing 14 years in prison for sharing a live stream video on Facebook of the Christchurch mosque shooting massacre. Police confirmed the man, who cannot be named for legal reasons, was not involved in the attacks. So, for sharing an event that he may or may not have known about, in other words, filming news, the guy faces 14 years in prison for happening to be there at the time, and there's no link. What the heck is happening with the world, folks? What the heck is happening? One of the gunmen is reported to have filmed the shooting incident at the mosque before broadcasting it live. That isn't what that comment said earlier, is it? Let me just read the previous paragraph again. In a separate case, an 18-year-old man from New Zealand is facing 14 years in prison for sharing a live stream video on Facebook of the Christchurch massacre. Police confirm the man, who cannot be named for legal reasons, was not involved in the attacks. So if he's not involved in the attacks, why is he being prosecuted? It was a stupid thing to do, but why is he being prosecuted? For filming something? No question it's sick, and no question Facebook should have taken it down. What the heck is happening in our world? Police asked people not to share the distressing footage and said that they were working to have it removed from the internet. Police would not explain the motives behind the attacks and advised mosques in New Zealand to shut their doors. Now, the reason I chose that piece is that it shows how things have got out of control. That's the point. That's the point. That the police have this much power in many Western countries. But I'm sure my American friends know what I'm getting at. A couple of weeks ago, I played a clip from a fictitious program, a drama-based program in the UK. It was on episode 514, Morning Moment, A Month of Multiculturalism in Britain, Part 2. And I'll put another link to that episode on my site. I want to play that piece again because it's relevant to this. Here it is. It's from the BBC TV series Broke, Series 1, Episode 5.
He's coming home?
Sorry?
Vernon? He's coming home?
Mrs. Oyanusi, we're so sorry for your loss and we offer our heartfelt condolences, but we're not here about Vernon.
So why are you here?
Are you Mrs. Oyanusi's brother?
Yes.
Could I take your name, please, sir?
Daniel Martin.
And how are you spelling that?
Martin. Why?
Mr. Martin, we've received a complaint that you assaulted a man just outside at roughly 2:15 this afternoon.
What are you talking about?
Is this a joke?
We wouldn't joke about something as serious as this.
Serious?
Sir, the man alleges it was a homophobic attack, a hate crime. If found guilty of a hate crime, you will go to prison, so yes, sir, very serious.
More serious than the killing of a black teenager by white police officers? See, I see what you're doing here, officer. You've killed a young man, therefore discredit him and all his family, yeah?
Did you assault Carl McKenna, sir?
Carl!
So there it is. Everything I told you about the UK, in a drama form, acted out in reality. People arrested, as I said previously, in the UK, for saying something online. It's just unbelievable. People in the UK live in fear, quite literally in fear of saying something, saying the wrong thing, perhaps not even knowing that they're saying the wrong thing. So what's the upshot of that? Well, I'll tell you what the upshot of it is. It's curbing free speech, which is what they're really after about. That's what they really want. If people are in fear of saying the wrong thing, what is the natural tendency to do? Say nothing. Say nothing. Even if you disagree with it, say nothing. And I'm going to say something here, and it's not going to be popular. The UK, I'm very sad to say, has become a modern-day East Germany. Think about that. The country that started the democratic system of parliamentary representation has dropped to the level, with modern technology being what it is. There are thousands, and I mean thousands, of police officers whose job it is, up and down the United Kingdom of Great Britain, to do nothing else but monitor you and what you say and do on the internet. So there must be banks of police officers sitting behind computers, tablets, whatever it is, doesn't matter, looking for keywords on the internet. And if you dare say anything that doesn't fit what the PC police say that you must say or not say, you are likely to be arrested and put in jail in a, quote, free country. Any comment on that? So the average British citizen lives in abject fear, because it's so crazy that even if you didn't say anything, if someone says you did, that's enough. That's what that clip I played you said. That's enough, in theory. How can a society exist under such conditions? So with that background, I give you this story from Christianity Today. It's entitled Indonesian Churches Blasted by Family of Suicide Bombers. Suicide bombers launched coordinated attacks on 3 Indonesian churches during worship services this morning, leaving more than a dozen people dead and at least 40 people injured in a series of bloody blasts that horrified the country's Christian minority and Muslim majority alike. Diponegoro, I think the name is, Indonesian Christian Church, GKI, and Surabaya Center Pentecostal Church and Santa Maria Takabasela Catholic Church, all in the Surabaya district, the second largest city in the island chain, suffered bombings carried out by 6 members of the same family who are believed to be affiliated with Jamaah Ansharat Daulah, JAD, an Indonesian terrorist cell aligned with ISIS. Sunday morning's bombings marked the deadliest terrorist attack in the world's biggest Muslim country since the Bali bombings that killed more than 200 people in 2002. The current death toll includes at least 7 worshippers plus the 6 family members who conducted the terror plot. The Indonesian police told the Associated Press that within minutes the father exploded a car bomb into one church building, 2 teenage sons on motorcycles drove into another, and the mother, with 2 daughters aged 12 and 9, wore explosives at the third, setting them off as she hugged a churchgoer. And here's another story, this one also from Neon Nettle. Dozens of Christians slaughtered by Muslim militants. Dozens of Christians have been slaughtered by Muslim militants in Nigeria, yet the massacre has been completely ignored by the mainstream media. Following the tragic events in New Zealand on Friday, political leaders, media and celebrities flocked to condemn the mosque attacks in Christchurch. Sadly, some even used the shooting that left 50 dead and many more injured as a springboard to promote their own political agenda, as the establishment media gave top billing to the story. Without question, the mosque attacks were an horrific tragedy and worthy of universal condemnation. How true. The strange aspect is that the level of attention paid to these heinous crimes in New Zealand, but the total media blackout surrounding simultaneous attacks on scores of Christians by Muslims in Africa. As Breitbart News alone reported, among major news outlets, Fulani jihadists racked up a death toll of over 120 Christians over the past 3 weeks in central Nigeria, employing machetes and gunfire to slaughter men, women and children, burning down over 140 houses, destroying property and spreading terror. The New York Times did not place this story on the front page. In fact, they did not cover it at all. Apparently, when assessing all the news that's fit to print, the massacre of African Christians did not measure up. The same can be said for the Washington Post, the Chicago Tribune, the Detroit Free Press, the LA Times, and every other major newspaper in the United States. This killing Christians continues, but barely a word is mentioned. I wonder what the UK authorities' response would be to a negative comment on those stories. One can only guess, but based on their current actions, I think you can guess. Finally, I want to say this, and it's not trying to be smooth in any way. I don't think the police in the UK are evil. Far from it. They have a very tough job to do, with inadequate resources and laws that tie their hands. Their actions are controlled by their political masters, who are politically correct. The police are scared to be seen not to clamping down on those that their masters see their actions are unacceptable either in the written, verbal or visual media. They are only carrying out the laws of the land, and while British citizens are allowing themselves to be taken down a path led by the far-left Trotskyites, nothing will change. I fear nothing will change until the British citizens stand up for their constitutional right to be free and free speech. Then, and only then, will they have freedom and freedom of speech in the land where democracy really started. And I predict this, and I've been pretty good on this so far. Sooner or later, the straw is going to break in Britain. Or shall I give a better analogy? The dam is going to fail. The dam of suppression will fail. And when it fails, it will fail so catastrophically that I wonder whether Britain will survive. Because making things illegal doesn't make it right. Banning things doesn't make it right. Not making it legal to own certain items doesn't make it right. And in the end of the day, people will look at their own situation and decide whether they are really protected. And if they're not being protected by the people that they thought were there to protect them, I'm guessing they'll take certain actions to protect themselves. I would if I was in their situation, and I think that's going to happen everywhere. This is why in the United States the Democrats are hell-bent to take guns away from Americans. And if they do, and if they try and do that, there will be a civil war in the United States, I have no doubt. Now, they've already done that in Europe. They've already tried to do it here in Canada. But there comes a point when people realise that tyranny is just around the corner, and that's the only thing that's keeping it away. They've seen the signs in Europe, and they don't want it in their backyard. Should it be wrong? Should it be wrong to criticise something? Should it be wrong to say you don't agree with this or you don't agree with that? Should it be wrong that you can't use certain words? Now, there are certain words in America you can't use for obvious reasons. That makes total sense. But to ban a complete subject and topic is insane, unless you're living in East Germany, in which case it fits the bill perfectly, doesn't it? And that's my comment. You can find more at aradio.wordpress.com, where you can find links to us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Gab and email. We're also on Spotify. Just go to the podcast section and type Canadian Politics with a twist and you'll find us. We are continuing to reach out to you, so please pass on these links. Please click on the follow button on Spreaker.com. You can listen to all our morning moments at Spreaker.com under A Radio. That's EHRADIO, A Radio, and click on the like button. And you can hear a review of our morning moments on WHBJ-DB, News Talk Radio on Spreaker.com. Join us and many others. And you can find all our podcasts and morning moments at aradio.wordpress.com. Click on the Morning Moments tab.